Hello again. I'm just going to go through some final touches to the Sauron sword. This involves texturing, and then I need to prepare the object for print, which involves cutting. So what I've done is I've brought in an alpha of a. It's from a bunch of stuff I downloaded once, which has got, it's called Terra, so it's Earth-related cracks and textures. And this is quite good for the purposes of, I want a sort of flakiness. I want to have, large flat areas and then a sudden flaking and indentation, which might be suitable for this metal. So if I press Option and drag, first of all, make sure I've got back face mask, because I don't want my texture to be dragged across and found positive on the other side. I want negative all over, like this. And I'll get these nice sort of faceted cracks. And a bit of noise. But it looks like flaking. And some notches. Yeah, that's the kind of thing. Just rotate and apply a new one. I've got a pretty high resolution object, so it shouldn't be a problem. Just continue down the side here. Rotate my texture so it's never going to be recognizable as the same texture. So here I'm getting a nice flaky part that's it looks like it's part of the forging process and the aging of the metal. Actually, I don't like that crack down there is too obvious. I'm going to move away from that. Now, obviously the Z intensity is important here. I'm having a very low intensity because I want to drag this shape out quite far. And I don't want obviously smooth areas. It's quite nice.
If you are over 50 and don't have life insurance in the UK.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a bit too much. It's hard to tell when the object is to be printed and then, sanded. And I think I'll just take it down a touch, because it's a very well made object, the sword. It's not full of inconsistencies and irregularities. It's very regular. It's very polished. And maybe a bit damaged in battle. But for resin, I think we need a bit of texture to help the process. Yeah, something like this. Just to show this kind of flakiness. Let's have a look at that with a render. Nice, okay. So I've got my hilt and my sword prepared here with a hole for the handle. Handle goes in there. Now I need to cut the sword, but I think I will texture before I cut. So basically the same thing here. Create some surface disruption, but not too dramatic. And always negative. Make sure you get the negative. This kind of idea. Let's have a look at the back. I'm getting a flakiness here. You know, just to break up the kind of perfection. You know, this kind of idea. Just introduce some noise to the surface. This is the kind of thing that's going to paint and rub down nicely. And give it that used look. Make sure not to repeat yourself. Just change the angle. Nice. Okay, that's the kind of effect. Old metal oxidizing and flaking. Nice. All right. Now we need to look at how to cut this. I'm going to have some little pegs to join the parts. I want 3 parts. The whole sword is 183 centimeters long. No, 138, sorry. 138, it's pretty long. So, I think we need some little pins to locate the parts. Now the first thing I do is duplicate, and then I'm going to cut away this middle. That's immediately going to give me 2 parts. Sub on the middle box here. These are all sized to be compatible with the printer, so the build volume of the printer is taken into account. Okay. I should have 2 parts here, a top and bottom. Yep. And now I split those. Split those apart. I've got my bottom and I've got my top. And now I need the middle. So this one will cut off the middle. And this one will cut off the bottom. So let's do the middle first. I used to think I could join 2 parts together and then use both of them on a simultaneous Boolean, but with 2 parts it can get confused and sometimes crash. So I'm not doing that anymore. Right. Sub. No, I must make sure I have Dynamesh on. Oh no, I've clicked too large for this part. That's okay. Yeah, make sure Dynamesh is on for the Boolean cutting part. Doesn't matter so much for the other part. Merge done. Re-Dynamesh. Okay, and then this one will cut my bottom. Cut the bottom off this. That will give me the middle part. Group as sub, merge down, re-Dynamesh. Now let's have a look. There it is, but I've still got some handles there, so split that apart. Delete those. And now I have 3 parts. I'm just going to make my background a bit darker. Okay, now my parts are in here, ready to use. I've already made them. So let me just see them against the area they're supposed to join. Okay, well, I want to make them as strong as possible and that means having a thick area around them so they're not against a thin wall. That looks good. I can have them both on the same tool and then select one and move them independently. Duplicate those because I'm going to need them again. And I should make my pins a tiny bit smaller than the sockets because, you know, I want them to fit. So if I deflate I've deflated my pins a little bit. I can now join them to my top part of the sword. And these sockets will be introduced to the middle part. So, sub, polygroups, group as Dynamesh sub, merge down, to Dynamesh, and there's my sockets. So now I have an object above with pins, an object below with sockets, perfectly lined up. And I want to do the same at the next level. I made my first pins 6mm in diameter, and then my second pins, they're a good bit further down the blade. So I don't need this box anymore. So I will, I thought I had to make them smaller to fit. Let's take a look. Yeah, they're a good size, but they're a bit too far out. So again, I select one, and I can pull the other one. And I can do that. Keep them in the center. I might just move a touch closer. Center my pivot, center the pair. Good, okay. Same again, duplicate those. Shrink my pins slightly. Because the object's so large, I need to deflate 100% to get any difference. It's just because the object's very large. Normally you would be modeling in an object 1/100th of this size. Okay, so that's my pins narrowed. They will go onto the bottom of my middle. Oh, we're upside down. Right, well, these are the pins that were narrowed. Yeah, merge them. Redynamesh. And they're very sharp. So I'll just round that off a touch. Now these ones must go into the tip of the sword as a socket. So group as Dynamesh, merge down, re-Dynamesh. I've got my sockets. Yeah, looking good. Okay, so I've got 3 sections of sword now, all with locating pins and sockets. Great. Job well done. Sauron sword is ready for print in 4 parts. Thanks for watching.